Anti-woke cartoons. One of the most god-awful genres of animation. Somehow even worse than Pixar ripoffs and crappy Christian cartoons combined. Even the term anti-woke sends a shiver of cringe down my spine.
It's okay. Billy is an emotional support dog. And non-binary.
Oh, okay then.
From raging grandmas who despise the libs, to showrunners that glaze Elon Musk so hard that it would make a Krispy Kreme jealous, we're going to jump into the excruciating world of anti-woke cartoons and answer the burning question, why do they always suck so much?
They're eating the dog.
Now, I know that remaining apolitical is virtually impossible when tackling a topic like this, but just keep in mind that my primary concern is the overall merit of a show. Characters, writing, voice acting, animation, artistic intent, and overall quality. Or lack thereof. So, take a deep breath and let's dive into the world of anti-woke cartoons. Hank Hill, help us.
I'm here in Berlin to stop the communists and end the Cold War.
Oh man, all this talk about communists is making me hungry.
But before we start, I want to give a shout out to this video sponsor, Ground News, an awesome news aggregate for your convenience. They're an independent app and website that's basically the antidote to the echo chambers of big tech. You know, the one that keep us stuck in. Just take Meta ending its fact-checking program, for example. Instead of feeding you the same one-sided takes, Ground News compiles thousands of news sources every day, organizes them by story, and ranks outlets based on political bias, whether they're independently owned or corporate funded, and even how reliable the reporting is. Then you can compare coverage and understand why right-leaning Center Square sees this move as some return to free speech, while CNN warns it's actually a free pass for disinformation. And their nifty features don't stop there. Ever stumble upon a crazy story and think, why is no one else talking about this? Or worse, you find out about it through a meme. That's where Ground News' blind spot feed comes in. It highlights stories the left and right are ignoring, so you'll never feel out of the loop on what's actually happening. And trust me, in a world where free speech is being co-opted by billionaires, platforms have more power than ever to push their agendas, and the truth feels too overwhelming to find. So having something like Ground News in your corner is worth it. And here's the best part of all. You can try it out for less than the price of your next latte. Head on over to ground.news/Saberspark and get 40% off the same Vantage plan I use. That's just $5 a month for unlimited access to features giving you more control and more transparency. The link is also down below in the description. Thanks to Ground News for partnering up with us for this video. And now, back to the video.
It's Chilla time!
So before we get into this list of excruciating cartoons, let us attempt to define what woke means. Yes, we're doing this. Sit down. Let's just do this thing. It started off as a turn of phrase coined by Black Americans in the 1930s. The term woke was intended to highlight systemic and racial injustice within society. So to stay woke meant encouraging other Black Americans to be attentive and aware of socially relevant issues. Fast forward to the 2010s, and the term now includes other marginalized groups, like LGBTQ+. But because some people suck, the term that was intended to be a left-leaning rally cry became appropriated as a sarcastic insult by the right. Nowadays, calling somebody woke is more about online name-calling and looking for gotcha moments by claiming performative activism to divide the right from the left. You're living in the worst timeline, folks. Then, in the late 2010s and early 2020s, the term anti-woke started to emerge on social media. Now, nobody can really agree on a strict definition for it, but some see it as a way of declaring that they're not bending the knee to the libs, while others see it as a way of subconsciously admitting that they're a bigot. So, what is the criteria of an anti-woke cartoon? Like, does South Park count as anti-woke with how often it dunks on left-leaning politics and social issues? No, it's not. The defining factor, in my opinion, boils down to intent. South Park dunks on everyone and remains pretty moderate for the most part. I mean, hell, they even apologized to like Al Gore about climate change, so anti-woke cartoons, however, not so much. Personally, I see the term anti-woke being used as a marketing strategy for grifters, people who lack any genuine morals or values and pander to gullible buyers in order to give them a false sense of superiority. Picture of like Count Dooku in the Star Wars book, you know the one. These cartoons are clearly entrenched in right-leaning politics and are about as subtle as a hurricane. There's no nuance, there's nothing clever, just dunking on the libs. Now, that's not to say you can't take other political ideologies to task, but at least back it up with a modicum of effort. Instead, the majority of these cartoons don't have an ounce of respect for the intelligence of their audience. Every argument and point they touch on is spoon-fed and blunt to the point of being insulting. It's purely reactionary, based on farming as much outrage as it can get from an audience. You see? I'm the Chad, I'm the Nordic gamer, and you're the virgin with the weak chin. Now buy my crypto coin. That is totally not a rug pull scam. Yeah, I'm already waiting for Norm coin or something, but hey, could be worse. Like, could you imagine, let's say, like the president launching a crypto scam? Like that would ever happen. What is reality anymore? So when it comes to shows like American Dad or King of the Hill or hell, even the Flintstones, sure, these main characters can seem conservative coded, but it's not in a way to exclusively bolster right-leaning ideologies in the same vein as the new norm or Mr. Birchum. There is a big difference, because while one approach has staying power, the other is doomed to be forgotten about in a week because there's no substance. One is satirical and even-keeled, while the other is just an axe to grind. Oh, by the way, get ready for a lot of King of the Hill references in this video. Hank is like the perfect foil for the shows we're about to cover. Once again, artistic intent is everything to me. I can at least sometimes respect a creation if it has a backbone in some capacity, but for these cartoons, well, it's hard to respect sellouts and grifters who occasionally fall into the realm of propaganda. Creating entertaining stories and characters comes second to creating hyperbolic noise in order to pander to viewers. And as you're about to see, most of these anti-woke cartoons are a flash in the pan, will not stand the test of time. It has been years since King of the Hill went off the air, but many people remember it fondly. But that will not be the case for what we're about to cover.
Oh, look. I thought with Old Glory over your head, you might feel a little more pride in being an American.
My shingles!
All right, let's begin with a show, quote-unquote, called The New Norm. Not to be confused with Norm of the North. Can't believe I'm saying this, but one is objectively superior to the other. Oh, by the way, I can't use enough quotation marks around the word show because the new norm barely even qualifies as one. At the time of recording this video, there are technically 3 episodes of Norm. But even if you combine them all, they barely crack over 8 minutes in total runtime. Yep, that's what we're working with here, folks. Also, they use AI-generated theme songs.
The new norm ain't the same as the old norm.
The new norm made its splash on X back in June of 2024. It was bad, it was cringe, it was overtly anti-woke, and for some individuals, it left them on the edge of their seats. According to the bio on Norm's Twitter account, it says, quote, "Fight the woke mind virus with laughter, the first animated sitcom on X." Now, many people thought this was ironic at first, but no, Norm is full-on MAGA and simping hardcore for Elon Musk. They so badly want to be noticed by Elon. Senpai, please, watch our show, we love you. They're so shameless that they even try to make it seem like Elon made a personal appearance in an episode when, in actuality, it is a special appearance by an animated Elon Musk. Oh wow, it's like he's really here.
Thank God for Elon Musk and his shitpost memes. X is the home for free speech.
Now, he's too busy having somebody play Path of Exile for him. The New Norm is a bastardized parody of All in the Family, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. In that show, we follow the main character of Archie Bunker, a cantankerous hard-ass who complains about everything he doesn't understand. Kids these days, the world is going to hell, stuff like that. A lot of his views are rooted in his own bigotry, both on a subconscious and cultural level. However, he demonstrates the ability to grow. That's why the show was so good and nuanced. Despite being loud about his prejudice, Archie would come face to face with moments of inner conflict. The core argument of the show was Archie's family loved him in spite of his weird hang-ups. The joke is that Archie is a bigot because he's an idiot and a product of his time. and most of the comedy came from his family calling him out routinely for being so out of touch. He's an anti-hero character, and people who interpreted his comedy literally flat out did not understand that they were the real butt of the joke.
I think that, if God had meant us to be together, he'd have put us together. Well, look what he's done. He put you over in Africa, he put the rest of us in all the white countries.
Norm represents all of the prejudice of Archie Bunker, but with none of the introspection of his character, aka nothing that makes him interesting.
It's your fault I got house arrest.
You're the one who threatened the school board.
I gently suggested
Yelled.
they stop brainwashing my daughter that girls aren't girls and men aren't men.
The first episode involves Norm lamenting over his beer changing packaging. No, it's gay now. Complaining about trans people, and then his friend yelling at a super liberal non-binary character about trans people. Again, nothing is truly being discussed or challenged. We're only here to complain.
I just want normals beer.
Then Elon Musk shows up at the end and they glaze up X as the home of free speech. Yes, the website that is owned by a multi-billionaire with obvious political and financial motives that removes your blue checkmark if you piss him off. It's 100% fair. And is doing this out of the goodness of his heart. Also, folks who are interested, I have a bridge for sale down in the description. Click the link. It's at givememoney.org.
I don't understand. You're black.
Did that just black whisper?
The second episode of Norm is about the election and how both respective sides are boarding rocket ships. I hate this show. In case their candidate loses. Immediately, I started suspecting the use of AI for generating the designs of the background characters. You got like this Peter Griffin-looking character, another guy who looks like he's from The Simpsons, and then I have no idea what's going on with this guy's face. Now, it's possible it's not AI, because not everything that is bad is automatically AI. But if a certain group of creators were to use AI, yeah, it would be them. I mean, they have used it before with like Elon Musk, like raising up AOC. I can't believe I said that sentence. God, I hate everything. In this episode, Trump and Elon show up and get shot at by Hillary Clinton. And then Putin blows up. And then Elon and Trump are partying in space with a Dogecoin dog. By the way, all of this happens over the course of 2.5 minutes.
Your side eats dogs and cats.
Our guy just sings about it.
They're eating the dogs.
Then there's episode 3. It's even shorter than episode 2. Both sides are fighting, and the mom is like, well, we got one thing in common.
Now your side hates Jews.
Your side hates Jews.
No, your side hates Jews.
Your side hates
No,
Jews.
your side hates
Your
Jews.
side hates
Your
Jews.
side hates Jews.
Your side hates Jews.
It's kind of funny because at the end, the writers imply that no matter who wins, both sides will lose, which is surprisingly moderate for a right-leaning show. But the joke they're going with here is actually a direct reference to the 1983 sci-fi thriller movie War Games, starring Matthew Broderick. Basically, he's a computer hacker that accidentally almost starts World War III by accessing a US government supercomputer that makes simulations of nuclear war against Russia in the 80s. It's sort of complicated, but the short version is that to stop it, he eventually tricks the computer into playing tic-tac-toe against itself endlessly. The games keep ending in draws, showing the futility of war, and the computer learns that the only long-term solution is to not play. It's a deep cut to use on a show with as little effort put into it as this one. Like, I was hoping that maybe, just maybe, that the new Norm was playing us for fools and was about to catch us off guard by denouncing politicians and the rise of the working class. That regardless of political party affiliation, that we're all being suckered. But no, it goes into a shameless beer cozy commercial self-plug.
Shop.newnorm.tv.
I'm Norm. I like normal beer. Buy my beer cozy. Trans people. There hasn't been another episode since the 3rd, but apparently the next one is about farts? I don't know. I don't know. But the account's rhetoric has remained firmly in the MAGA Elon dick writing camp, so they can sling their own merch and pander to buyers. Moana 2, it gets a not woke of approval from Norm. Ooh, Disney's back, baby. Thanks, Norm. I really appreciate your Disney review. Overall, Norm is a shameless bastardization of Archie Bunker and only cares about its grift. Their quality is awful, they have no true values, and they only want to sling gay beer cozies and affiliate links for their pillows. Yeah, you call that a pillow, Norm? Well, this is a pillow.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Next, we got Mr. Birchum. Now, I talked about this one on the channel before, which is the case for a few more cartoons on this list. But I got something new to mention for this time around. For those who don't know, Mr. Birchum is an adult animated conservative family sitcom. I'd imagine it was pitched as anti-woke Family Guy.
Come on, honey. Men are like bears. You have to let the bear hunt for his food, or he'll forget how to hunt.
Oh, half cup.
Our main character is Richard, who is voiced by Adam Carolla. Yeah, remember him? The guy from The Man Show? He was a thing.
You were at a strip club and one of the betties just told the bouncer you gave her the magic thumb.
Adam is also one of the show creators and has been sitting on the idea of Mr. Birchum for a while now. Hell, the pilot was unearthed not too long ago. And here's the part that really sucks. It's not that bad. It is leagues better than the actual show and the other hot garbage that is bankrolled and streamed exclusively by Daily Wire Plus. Honestly, thank God they were paywall because any decent network wouldn't touch these shows with a 10-foot pole. I take that as a grim reminder of things to come. We got the hot wife, the loser son, the snappy daughter who is like this little reaffirming companion for Birchum who also hates the libs. And then we got Birchum, a cantankerous woodshop teacher who is in a constant state of, kids these days, I hate the government, I hate technology, I'm angry at everything. The grumpy dad character archetype is nothing new. And it can work when said character is thrown into a situation where they have to have some kind of arc in order to roll with the punches. Take Hank Hill, for example. Here it comes, folks. He's about to show up a lot more. There was an episode where Bobby got into growing flowers, like specifically a rose, something Hank looks down upon. But eventually, Hank gets caught up in the competition, because competition is masculine. Along the way, he kind of dismisses Bobby, but realizes how this isn't right. That despite his boy being a little imperfect, aka wabi-sabi, that Bobby is his son, and he unconditionally loves him.
I was thinking about it, and my singing didn't really help the roses. My voice just isn't that good. But check this out.
Son.
Yeah, Dad?
You've got a lot of wabi-sabi.
Wow, a well-defined character with an arc that isn't simply just glazing up viewers? What a concept! What about Birchum, though?
Turn this crap off and come upstairs and eat like a normal human bear. Bing!
Can't. I'm crushing this camper during a little PvP.
Boss style. PvP? I thought you could only get one of those if you had a girlfriend.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite. The stories feel like those ridiculous Facebook posts with those people who are like, I owned the libs and strangers applauded me. Yeah, like that happened, right? Birchum doesn't have an arc. And even worse, he's not entertaining. Look, I don't need an arc, but at least be funny.
I used to bring home the bacon. Pretty soon, I won't even be able to bring home the Bacos.
It sucks double hard because Birchum in the pilot was far more interesting. He wasn't as radical and actually had a shred of empathy. Far more relatable for normal people. But we ain't dealing with the new norm anymore. Instead, Birchum went with the polarized approach and floored it with its anti-woke narrative, jokes, and characters.
I'm a vegan.
At the moment, there's rumors of another season of Birchum, but I'll believe it when I see it. Apparently, some folks on Daily Wire Plus were upset that even a non-threatening gay character side character was in the series and declared that they would boycott the show.
And for some of you, that's fine enough. But I'm not going to tolerate that character. I'm just not. I won't be around it.
Well done, Birchum. You played yourself. Next, we got Chilla, the infamous conservative Bluey ripoff. This, too, is also under the Daily Wire Plus streaming umbrella via Bentkey. Now, as far as anti-woke cartoons go, I wouldn't say that Chilla is one of its strongest soldiers. If anything, it feels more like a casualty, since it's lumped into Daily Wire Plus. I'll explain. First off, the show is about a family of chinchillas, one of the cutest and fluffiest rodents ever invented. Sadly, these characters barely look like chinchillas, but I'm willing to let that slide. Like, if Jiminy Cricket gets a pass, then by God, I think that's fair here too. What I don't like is Rob Schneider, the voice of the father in the show, or he once was in season 1. Now, as far as Merrick goes, he doesn't do a bad job voicing his character, but it isn't anything to write home about. What I don't like is how this is another case of a comedian team-switching politics and riding the anti-woke bandwagon in order to get a new audience. Adam Carolla did this, and Rob Schneider especially did this. Why?
Money!
Again, to be fair, Chilla isn't overtly political, but it does have some slight undertones, such as this is the proper family dynamic. A father who's blue, a stay-at-home mother who's pink, and then a son who is blue, and a daughter who's pink. Oh, I guess this infant son who's like aquamarine or something? Still figuring it out.
No hugs. You're supposed to go berserk.
Now, where Bluey has the parents helping the kids discover a lesson, Chilla is really heavy-handed with the parents almost forcing their kids into a lesson. What's that, son? You want to be emperor? Well, the family is now LARPing as barbarians, and we're going to break your stuff. Lesson learned.
Wait, it's over? You're telling me that I get my toys broken, my room invaded, and I lose my big, awesome empire?
Yeah, basically.
Also, yeah, this cartoon is 100% a Bluey ripoff, but plays it more safe with its cast of characters and lessons, aka a lot more boring. I will say though, animation-wise, it doesn't look half bad, but it's the heart of the show where it falters and unfortunately finds itself in a weird market. Oh, funny story, by the way. I have a friend who will remain anonymous who actually ran into one of the creators of Chilla while on a flight. My friend saw from the corner of their eye some like Chilla stuff on the guy's laptop and was like, "Are you an animator for the show?" And the guy was like, "No, I'm a co-creator." And it was Eric Branscombe. My friend was wearing a blue jacket and was like, "Yeah, I never watched Chilla before, but I heard of it because," and like gestured at their jacket. And Eric laughed and was like, "Yeah, right? Yeah." Now, for what it's worth, my friend said Eric was cordial and nice, so that's at least a good thing. Too bad the shows he's associated on, Chilla and Mr. Birchum, are stuck on such a backward streaming service like Daily Wire Plus, but hey, play dumb games, win dumb prizes.
Right to the head.
Other shows on Daily Wire Plus include Kid Explorer, which is like this variety show of other kid shows such as Biz Kid and Kid History. Yes, as a child, I yearned to learn more about the second president of the United States, John Adams, who was so pissed off that he lost to Jefferson that he did not show up to his inauguration. Reminds me of somebody. But I'll tell you this though, some kid bumbling about John Adams would compete with Fortnite and Roblox. I know it will do the numbers.
Before that, he was the vice president to George Washington.
Then there's A Wonderful Day with Mabel McClay.
Taste cold stew, villainous vacuum. You are vanquished.
I, the vacuum cleaner, have been defeated.
Next, we got PragerU. Yes, unfortunately, there are full-fledged anti-woke cartoons from this hyper-conservative organization, which, fun fact, is not even a real academic institution. So yeah, take what they say with a grain of salt.
I want mommy, I want milk, I want to be held, I want to be comforted. And if you do not do all these things immediately, I will ruin your life.
First, we got Leo and Layla. Now, I've covered this before on my channel, and this cartoon is downright insulting. You have the titular Leo and Layla, two siblings who share the common trait of having no soul. Episodes usually start with some kind of problem, and then they go, "Hey, I bet historical figure could help us. Oh no, I need to learn about financial responsibility. I guess we should get lectured by Adam Smith." By the way, quite a few of these cartoons feature Adam Smith, which checks out because he's a father of capitalism.
So, greed is good.
No, Leo. Self-interest is different from being selfish or greedy. It means doing what is best for yourself will lead to rewards for everyone.
But what about Columbus? Feels kind of weird during Columbus Day. Let's go talk to him. Thank God he's so relieved that slavery is abolished, even though he was a slave trader. I'm sure he was just a victim of circumstance and did not cut off the hands of slaves as a punitive measure. What about President Grant? Ah, yes, I must learn to be a grateful victor. The general who essentially won the Civil War tells us about his empathy and clemency towards the Confederacy.
I knew how I would want to be treated in defeat. I wouldn't want to be gloated over or humiliated. I knew I had to lead by example if I wanted my men to behave the same way. The Southerners were still our countrymen, and it was important to be respectful in our victory.
Excellent. That's actually historically accurate. Now, do we hold those same standards to modern presidents about being, gracious victors and not bragging? Nope. Leo and Layla is a bunch of revisionist history that downplays the bad stuff and uplifts the good stuff. History requires balance, and above all else, transparency, because those who don't learn from it are doomed to repeat it. You can't just cherry pick your morals and values. That is intellectually dishonest.
You're a courageous explorer, and you've given me a lot to think about. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, kids. Now, let me lock you up and show you to the King and Queen of Spain.
Then there's Otto's tales. First off, the main character, Otto, looks like a little old man boy version of the founder of PragerU, Dennis Prager. Coincidence? Maybe. The show itself is primarily a storytime show that fluffs up American values. Very pro-patriotism. There are the occasional benign episodes of the series, like, let's go meet a librarian. Or, oh my God, why is it always Columbus? Why go up to bat for this guy? He isn't worth it. Can we please pick a different plot?
Look there, said Dennis. What's that up in the sky? It was a plane flying low that should have been high. The plane hit one of the towers in a fiery flash. There was a huge explosion and a very loud crash.
Okay, you can go back to the Columbus episode. Then there's Around the World. In this show, we get to meet kids from around the world, hear their stories, learn about global issues such as socialism, communism, freedom of speech, and more. We get to discover why life is so exceptional in America compared to other countries. Just don't hope that you need an ambulance ride or it might bankrupt you. Honestly, Around the World just oversimplifies global issues to try and prop up the United States as a utopia. For example, in the Canada episode, it attempts to frame Canada and Canadians as just stubbornly using the inferior universal healthcare system, when the US has all the advanced medical specialists, but conveniently sidesteps that every example that it lists can be said 10 times over for privatized healthcare. It notably ignores medical tourism, where US citizens travel to Canada, Turkey, Mexico, and other parts of the world for substantially more affordable medical procedures. It's disingenuous, arrogant, and purposely misinformed to paint the US as superior in terms of medical achievement and accessibility. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot I genuinely love about America. We have incredible food and amazing national parks. But to bolster the healthcare system as utopian? Whew, that's a bold-faced lie.
And while Alain still believes there are some good things about Canada's universal healthcare system, he's proud of Marcel for doing the research and making a tough decision.
Then we have one of the most interesting candidates on the anti-woke cartoon roster, the Tuttle Twins. Why? Because it was one of the few shows on this list that was able to demonstrate competency. I'll explain. The show is based on the book series of the same name by Connor Boyack. The cartoon adaptation popped up in 2021 via crowdfunding led by Daniel Harmon, raising nearly $5 million for the series. The premise of the show is about Ethan and Emily Tuttle, two kids who have a time machine. Oh, wait a second. Leo and Layla, is that you? Huh, nice try. If I had a nickel and something Dr. Doofenshmirtz, 2 nickels. The Tuttle Twins is arguably the most dynamic of the anti-woke shows, as it skates the fine line of genuinely educational alongside black and white strawman arguments that entirely weighs the scale in their favor. It honestly makes some of the series genuinely enjoyable from an educational perspective. But then there's episodes where it's like, Bitcoin is better, or equal pay sucks, with just transparently shallow discussion on it. It comes off as very intellectually dishonest, especially from a show that does does dive into many of the nuances of financial situations. Like its explanation about inflation for children was very well written, honestly. Bitcoin, though?
When money is controlled, money is corrupted. When money is controlled, money is corrupted. When money is controlled, money is corrupted. When money is controlled, money is corrupted.
You also got this grandma character who absolutely despises communism, which, hey, we can work with that in some capacity, but all kind of backfires when she becomes an evil dictator, which, irony? Ignore that. Just ignore it.
I thought, what if someone smart and capable could run things instead?
Funny animal sidekick. I feel like this series took inspiration from Gravity Falls. Not a carbon copy by any means, but just aping off the same energy. The same energy as in like the dialogue and jokes. There were even moments where I laughed at some of the jokes, which really surprised me.
Twins, this old man is Frederick Douglass, the best-selling author, the world-famous speaker, and he's an advisor to President Lincoln.
Was an advisor.
Oh, right. Couldn't you have advised him to duck?
But here's the thing. These were apolitical moments. Just characters being characters and actually having chemistry. But then the show is like weighed down with, oh my God, he's back. It's Adam Smith. Why is it always Adam Smith at Columbus?
Because I've had enough of this dude. He's kind of right out of the frame. Okay.
I'm getting sick of this guy. The show is very patriotic, very pro-capitalism with a capital P for pro, and very anti-anything that isn't America. Again, there are moments in episodes that fall into the realm of being entertaining and educational. Like there's an episode about George Washington warning the kids about tribalism. And I'm like, hey, yeah, that's a good lesson.
So how do we stop tribalism?
Well, as hard as it seems, seek truth over teams. Don't pledge loyalty to political parties or groups, but focus on what is right.
Also, you could make a cartoon about it and stream it on a platform that values good ideas.
But then you get a thumbnail with an episode that includes Frederick Douglass, and then use the caption, overcoming victim mentality, which, I don't know. I think that's a really poor choice of words for Frederick Douglass. I think that doesn't make sense. Are you implying that he has a victim mentality? Because this has to be my mildest hot take, but I feel like the guy who was once a slave can definitely be upset that he was enslaved. Overall, the Tuttle Twins has solid animation, witty dialogue, and actual effort. So this show is probably the highest quality on the list so far. But that's not saying too much. When your competition is Leo and Layla, it's pretty easy to look good by comparison.
Sometimes it's okay to civilly disobey. Boo! Leave the politics out of this!
All right, let's talk about This Just In. An early 2000s political commentary, but with a twist. It's from a conservative point of view. For what it's worth, there are plenty of shows that exist just to dunk on Republicans. Our cartoon president, Little Bush. Yeah, remember that one? Somehow simpler times in hindsight, right?
We did it, gang! We got to Iraq!
Where should we start looking for a gift for your dad?
Right here, Baghdad. It's got Dad right in it.
These shows sucked, by the way, all of them. But This Just In was on the other side of the spectrum. As in, like, politically, it still sucked. And after 6 episodes, it got axed. In the show, we follow Brian Newport, a PNG Sona from the looks of it. He's got his little arms crossed and everything. That's my job. The guy is a very proud Republican and uses his journalistic talent to dunk on the libs.
I believe in taking the fight to the terrorists. I believe there is no vast right-wing conspiracy, because if there was, I'd be in it.
That's it. That's the show. I'm right, you're wrong, end of story. So really no arc for the character or anywhere to take him. For King of the Hill, at least we get to see Hank put into these uncomfortable situations where his traditional views are challenged. But for Brian Newport, well, it's extremely predictable and very boring. By the way, while watching this show,
we interrupt this broadcast to announce Peanut, the water-skiing squirrel, has been murdered. Peanut was found dead, murdered in an execution-style killing late last night in the Gaslamp district of downtown San Diego.
Filthy animal.
Wait, what? No, there's no way that this show is talking about a murdered squirrel in the early 2000s that was named Peanut. There's no way. What are the odds? Time is an illusion and nothing is real. Rest in peace to Peanut the squirrel, apparently. Twice. So yeah, This Just In is your quintessential anti-woke cartoon of the early 2000s.
Look, All I'm saying is that if we don't get to watch basketball, the terrorists have won.
Let's flip things over to the other side. Are there woke cartoons? Again, the definition is so nebulous right now that it's hard to say. Though I'm sure some viewers are like, Disney, dude? Huh? Yeah, no, no. Granted, Disney films are passive progressive, and they try to pander to both sides without actually taking a stance or having a backbone, but they're not the political rallying cry that people think they are. Most of the outrage is hyperbolic at best, and if they're guilty of anything, it is once again being spineless. During my research, I found a show called The Good Family, which, surprise, surprise, was from one of the creators of King of the Hill, Mike Judge. The series is like the opposite of that series, though, as it stars a liberal family instead of the Hills in Texas. Now, I watched a few episodes and I hated it. And not because there's a liberal family or any dunking on liberals. It's not that. It just sucks. It tried to do what King of the Hill did and satirize both liberals and conservatives, but it's not nearly as funny or charming, which is why it got axed after its first season.
Well, yes. See, Ubuntu is African American. He's an American now, but he's from South Africa. He isn't black.
Like, the more I think about it, the more I realize that this show isn't technically a liberal or woke cartoon, and is more of a cartoon that features a liberal family. The same way that King of the Hill isn't a conservative cartoon, despite featuring a conservative family. But it does go to show that at the end of the day, despite whatever side is getting lampooned, having great characters, good writing, and fun animation is far more important when it comes to making a quality show. Shocking, right? What I can surmise from this list of cartoons is how often the pursuit of political outrage, regardless of affiliation, can just totally derail the overall artistic merit of a production. South Park can pull it off. King of the Hill can pull it off. Why? Because they put sincerity first, and that is what makes them timeless.
Okay, show's over. Nothing to see here. Everyone go home. It's a circus out there.
In conclusion, I find this genre of animation to be repulsive for many reasons. It's low effort, insincere, it panders to viewers, and of course, the very common denominator of grifting. Only like 2 demonstrate a degree of competency, and even those cartoons are still vastly outclassed by other superior options. Chilla? Just watch Bluey. Tuttle Twins? Just watch Gravity Falls. Mr. Birchum? Guys, King of the Hill is right there.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Now, I know that at the end of the day, buyer beware, right? Vote with your wallet. Could have sworn Adam Smith told me about that one. But if right-leaning people want right-leaning content, then fine. That's their prerogative. That is their choice. But said results are typically bottom-of-the-barrel, rushed-out, low-hanging fruit that ends up being more of a flash in the pan than anything. It lacks merit and needs to be more than just rattling off buzzwords. Actually challenge things. Actually challenge the opposition. Treat your viewers with respect. Then again, that's just my opinion. And perhaps for the folks within that demographic, they just don't care. It's good enough, and I pity them if that is their true sentiment. You deserve better, but you gotta realize that for yourself first. Politics are a messy affair, and the internet has not made it easier. It feels like yellow journalism has been dialed up to 100, and cartoons like the ones I've mentioned are some of the results of that effect. Yet I see shows like King of the Hill, where conservative values can be explored in a nuanced and heartfelt way. For example, Cotton Hill, Hank's dad, is a despicable person. Yet there was an episode where he was struggling to survive and provide for his family. This World War II vet who sacrificed so much and his shins deserved better than that. And I agree. Wow, who would have thought that having an empathetic story can help to build human connections and pity? Crazy, right? No pandering, no cheap tricks, just good characters and storytelling. That's because King of the Hill knows how to mobilize kindness, effort, and humanity. They take multiple political ideologies and the current events of the era to task. They dunk on hippies. They dunk on bureaucratic liberals. But they also do the same thing to hyper-conservative characters. They're all on the chopping block, and that feels balanced to me. Hank literally had an existential crisis about George W. Bush having a weak handshake, and that he might not vote for him based on that alone. Such excellent commentary on voters that something as simple as that can derail a person's entire political ideology. Says a lot about how simple-minded voters can be, right? But at the end of the day, I just want to champion true art. That people deserve effort at the very least. Not scams, not grifts, not pandering, but genuine results from real people. Anti-woke cartoons are overwhelmingly an attempt to cash out on buyers who are easily swayed due to current political outrage and events, and will end up with exactly what they paid for: garbage. We have to force ourselves to be better as time goes on, to have higher standards, because with the arrival of AI, content like this is just going to get worse. Be smarter than that, and hold your creators accountable regardless of their affiliations. They are just using you, then don't support them. They don't deserve it, and you're better than that. Again, during times like these, what would Hank Hill do? If he watched The New Norm, he would probably be like, "This show's asinine, turn it off, Bobby." I'll tell you what, Bobby wouldn't watch the show. He'd be too busy watching My Little Pony. By the way, I plan on covering King of the Hill in depth later this summer, so keep your eyes open for that. That is a show worth talking about. But hey folks, those are just my overall thoughts. What do you guys think? Tell me down below in the comments, and I'll see you all next time. And join me in prayer as we pray that Norm never releases his fart video. We can only take so much.